Hi guys, I'm back at it again with another video. This is a continuation of the Price of Love book, which I've already told you guys, but just a brief snippet. I'll be picking different chapters and I'll be talking about it. Also, feel free to suggest or recommend what chapter that you want me to read. I previously read all the table of contents chapters, so if you're interested in me reading a specific chapter, go ahead and please suggest it and we will listen to you and do that. So this is The Price of Love, and I'll be picking up from, let's say, this is very juicy actually. So those who like the toxic juicy things, this one is for you. So it's page 67 and The Price of Love is what it says on the top. And the chapter is chapter 11. So chapter 11, page 67. And the title is, drumroll please, it says Teenage Relationship Problems. Now, teenagers, this is the time for you to lock it in. You can read it alongside of me. I'll read it verbatimly. I'll make sure to keep a pace that is slow enough to continue and slow enough to read along. Okay. So, it says chapter 11, Teenage Relationship, page 67. Also, I'll take a break halfway through this and then I'll continue because of longevity, rise, and attention span, a lot of people. Okay, so let me begin. Teenage relationships. Families with teenagers often live with the worry at the stage in their lives of their sons and daughters. To avoid worrying about everything, it is very useful to detect in advance what are the most frequent risks that teenage faces. We must be aware that the majority will not have these problems, but if we evaluate in advance what the problems may appear, we will be more prepared and prepared to face them if they happen to occur. Knowing most frequent problems of adolescents can help families deactivate them. Problems at school. This is the next chapter. Some of teenagers who have never had performances or behavior problems at school begin to show them right now. The solution is that to act immediately, the family should contact the school and jointly develop a strategy that prevents boys and girls from wanting to leave schools or guard against their performance dropping to levels that affect their future. Problems in relationships. The most frequent problem of adolescents is usually the relationship with parents. To avoid it, or at least minimize it, fathers and mothers should tackle the adolescent phase with a lot of patience, a lot of love towards their sons and daughters, and a good dose of humor. Nor does it hurt to remember once adolescents ourselves that brings us closer to the children in this phase and gets us to understand their answers much better. And all the above, always please aware that it is only a stage that comes a day when adolescence ends. Eating disorders. So this is number one. Eating disorders. Adolescence is the time when eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia usually appears. There is 100% effective formula to avoid them, but getting our sons and daughters to have a healthy relationship with food and knowing diseases well to detect them in first symptoms can minimize their consequences. Number two is bullying. Bullying in school is another of those serious problems that lurk teenagers. The best way to combat is information. We must ensure that both our sons and daughters and ourselves have enough information about that. As with eating disorders and other problems that may appear in adolescence, detecting it in the beginning makes the problem much easier to solve. Number three, it's internet harassment. It goes without saying that in our day and age, the internet is a very powerful resource. It is up to parents to ensure that their children know how to use it safely. We must ensure that from their childhood, that they know and understand what can and cannot be done online. It will reduce the probability that they suffer harassment or that they run other risks associated with the use of these tools. The next is substance use education within the family or promoting the responsibilities of adolescents are the methods of combat substance abuse. Whether legal or illegal, if we promote a healthy life in our sons and daughters and give them enough truthful and objective information about the effects of drugs, we will be putting in measure to prevent or to reduce the risk associated with these. The next says unwanted pregnancies. Teenage pregnancy can ruin the future of our daughters. The way to avoid this is for the boys and girls to have sufficient sexual information, access to corresponsive methods. The next says depression. Depression appears relatively frequently in adolescents. If we have the slightest suspicion that our son or daughter is going through a depression, professionals should be asked for help. Sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is a problem that adolescents suffer especially, but it is very important to talk with them so they can understand what abuse is, understand that they do not have to allow it or do it as a crime. It is important that they know that they should report it if it happens to them. Traffic accidents. It is important to encourage the responsibilities of sons and daughters when they start driving any vehicle and set an example when you see them driving. Social skills are behaviors of an individual to express their role to the company, the children in these changes, and often that works in previous stages is no longer. In adolescence, children demand more autonomy. For the parents, it is logical that sometimes it is difficult to give it to them. It is time to start letting them make their own decisions and leave the room for them to succeed or learn from their own mistakes. Once again, it is time to start letting them make their own decisions and leave the room for them to succeed or learn from their own mistakes. So this is where I'll be taking a quick break, and if you want to get a drink of water or something, you can do that. I'll continue with the next following paragraphs. Thank you guys so much for how far you've tuned in. Like I've been saying, all these books, especially The Price of Love, alongside all the other books that I'll be verbatimly reading, can be found on stacyfoundation.org. Remember that everything that you buy or purchase via this website, via Stacy Foundation, goes towards charity works, donations, and a lot of group projects that benefit not just us, but the community as well. So make sure that you have in the back of your mind that as you patronize our projects, as you patronize our books, as we patronize whatever we bring on board, that you are helping for the good of humanity and you're helping towards a good cause. Thank you guys so much, and catch you guys on the other side.